The show has begun with Connor and Dom. It's the Decon Chamber.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trekkies and Trekkers, welcome back to another episode of the Decon Chamber. I am Connor Trinneer, your co-host, alongside my bestie in a few continents and some places in the universe, Dominic Keating.
Ciao. Hey, guys.
We have a really wonderful, interesting guest. Most of you know her as the Bajoran Dabo girl Lita in DS9, where she graced the screen with her dulcet tones and her beauty, and has moved into another arena in her life in this pop culture hero coalition, which I really want to spend a lot of time talking about today. I don't know how many people know about this. It's a very important charity organization that deals with a host of things that young people have to deal with. And without further ado, Chase Masterson.
Thank you so much, Connor and Dominic. It's such a pleasure to be here, and huge congrats to you guys on this podcast. It's so well loved, and you've really broken through and made it a fun, unique thing. And I appreciate you having me here.
Of course, we're very happy to have you, darling. It's been a long time, long overdue. And
Thank you so much. Well, we've all known each other quite a while. Yeah, it's fun to be working with you guys.
well, I'm excited because, and I've said this about several other people who've had on the show, that we all know each other for literally decades now. And yet we're kind of like passing ships in the night at these conventions. This is an opportunity where we sit down and we actually spend some quality time and really get to chat, really where we don't do that a lot at the conventions, and because we're so sort of, torn this way and that. So I'm excited to, really spend some time with you, Chase. And
Thank you. Back at you, Dominic. That's so well said. I mean, we all, know each other and care about each other a great deal, and yet conventions are the one place where we meet up, and our focus is on the fans. So it's really nice to be able to hang out with you guys.
Likewise. Well, let's start off with I wanted to ask you how you got Lita.
Thank you. It's a bit of a story. I'll tell you very quickly. So back way before Star Trek, I was in an acting class of 10 people in a city of 12 million people. And three of those people were Garrett from Voyager, Jonathan Del Arco from Next Gen and Picard, and me. And to further the Star Trek connections, the class was directed or taught by Corey Allen, who has a huge background in Star Trek as well as an actor from Rebel Without a Cause. And so Jonathan would go to class on Monday nights and come in and tell us about this wonderful work that he was getting to do on Star Trek and the places where he got to go meet the fans, the conventions. And he'd get to travel all over the world and meet the people who make the show possible, which is the fans. And I thought,
he sounds sickening. Okay.
like, good for you. No, but I thought I want some of that. I thought, that's really the show I want to be on. I'll also tell you, I had a boyfriend who was such a Trekkie that I was only allowed to call him during commercials.
Oh my God. Oh, no, that last.
Who's sorry now? Um, so I used, yeah, right.
Really?
So I knew Star Trek and I loved it for various reasons, and I really wanted to be on this show. But back at that time, I didn't have a great agent, and so I found a way to meet casting directors. And this was by paying $30 a night to go see casting directors at these showcases. So you could go meet a casting director, and if they liked you enough, they might call you in. But I was too poor to be able to afford $30 many times. So I told the casting person, the workshop person, look, I will make phone calls and increase your business if you let me come in and take your casting director workshops. And she did. And because of all of those conversations with Jonathan Del Arco, I met Ron Surma. That was one of my goals. And Ron brought me in for the role of Marta, which was a role that a Dabo girl, a Bajoran Dabo girl, who dated Jake in the second season.
Yes.
And I worked really hard on the audition, and we got down to the final two. And it was another girl and me, and they cast the other girl. because Jake was 16. It was a role to play opposite Jake, basically. And Jake was 16, and the girl they cast was 19, and I'm
You were not.
not. So I thought, "Oh, how close and yet so far away." I really wanted this show, and so, I just kept plugging away, and
Did I
later
hear that Avery then sort of earmarked you that you could be his girlfriend? Did I hear something like
he
that?
he actually did. He said after that audition, he said, "That girl date my son, she's" I know. And he said, "She's a little more right for me, don't you think?"
I like.
And yeah, yeah. So, so then I found out that they wrote the role of Lita for me.
Oh, excellent.
And, I had to audition anyway. But both Ira and Renee Echevarria, who wrote the character, who wrote that episode, told me that. And what an incredible honor. I mean, just more than words
They
can say.
literally created the role having met you for Jake's girlfriend, and thought,
Yeah.
we can't pass this up. We got to find it. Well, it doesn't surprise me, Chase. I mean, every time I see you on screen, you you pop off the screen, love.
Well, that's really kind. Thank you.
So I'm not kidding. I mean, even in I mean, don't want to quote it too much, but even in that film we all did, Unbelievable. I mean, which was believable.
It was unbelievable.
You even in that, it was extraordinary just how you shone, literally like a light off that screen.
Well, thank you, Dominic. I feel the same way about you.
You're not always con.
Well, yeah. Uh,
You
I
guys
worked,
are
we worked together, Chase, a few years ago on a movie where I had a hand puppet, and that's always going to take focus.
together on movies that have puppets. I think that's our thing.
Hang on. You've done another thing with that with a puppet?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
It's
What
called.
was it?
It was called Baby Pact 2.
No
But
shit.
this was a fun movie. This was directed by Matt Berman, and Connor, you were wonderful in this film. I highly recommend it, you guys.
Thank you. As were you, and and then to echo what Dom's saying, what you see on the screen is just like you pop, and that's you do
Thank you.
a great thing.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Well, I just know how lucky I am. I mean, how many wonderful actors are there out there across the board in theater, film, and television who really are talented and never get to work at all?
Oh God.
Much less have even a portion of what we have. So
Very capricious business. Yeah.
I'm more grateful than we're
As you get older, I don't know.
The road is paved to heaven and hell with great actors who have never had a chance.
yeah. Yeah, so we're all pretty lucky and we owe it to you guys, the fans.
Your experience on DS9, did you enjoy it? Was it how did you feel about it?
I really loved it. I was very surprised though, because part of what happened was I was only supposed to be on one episode. So I was there for 4 lines for 1 day, and that's all that the contract was. And on that day, Rick Berman came to set. And people were saying, "Oh my gosh, Rick Berman never comes to set."
He never came to set.
I know. And so on that day, there was another woman who was there as a 1 day guest star. And people were buzzing about he's going to pick either one of them to recur. It's going to be one or the other, or maybe both. But I thought, oh, for sure it's her. The actress's name was Barry Hockwald, and she played basically a opposite Sid in a storyline there. And I just thought she was wonderful and, that was it. And she was wonderful. And, the tide can always turn any way for any of us. But for whatever reason, they decided to bring Lita back. And Barry went on to do a lot of other television. And so that makes me even more grateful because, there are no guarantees. I never had a contract. Max, or I, or many other the recurring characters on DS9 were only episode to episode, so they could have killed us off at any time.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
It's
Armin Shimon has sort of alluded to the fact that, yeah, you were all the lot of the cast that we thought were as regulars were, as it were, contract players that were brought in literally episode to episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So
y-
so
Did you, was it written into? Were you always going to have a love interest with Rom, or was that was then discovered later?
no, that was discovered later. That's a great question, Dom. Thank you. So as the story goes, Ira went over to Max one day on set and he said, "Max, Rom, we're going to give you Lita. You and Lita are going to be a couple." And Max said, thank you." And then Ira said, "It's because Dr. Bashir is so attractive and all the fans love him, so we want to keep him single." And Max goes, cute. So anyway, so yeah. So but Lita and Bashir were kind of a Barbie and Ken kind of couple. There wasn't a lot of comedy or drama or anything you could really do. But with Lita and Rom, it was more Lucy and Ricky, the wackiness and right? And the differences of the cultures that was so beautiful. And one thing that Ira told us is he said, "I want you, Ram and Lita, to be an example of a happy couple on television because there really aren't many happy couples." And he said, all the couples are either involved in like cheating or addiction or something nefarious. And he said, I want to prove to the audience that people as a couple can be both interesting and um, can be interesting
Dynamic.
and happy.
Yeah.
And we were interesting.
Great job.
Thank you.
This is the actor to work with, isn't it?
You're singing, right? They knew about that before this. Was singing a part of the first audition?
No, I never sang on DS9. I had sung a bit, but not really a lot at that point. I'd done a lot of theater and music in clubs and stuff, but I was in a period where I was so focused on TV and film that I wasn't really I didn't have any samples to show them, and so I didn't get to sing on Deep Space Nine, but I'm grateful to have been able to do that out of Star Trek at a lot of events, and that's been really nice.
Beautiful voice, and yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Well, I don't want to take all of our time on Star Trek DS9 and your character, no offense, but I do really want to get into the work you've been doing for the last 11 years with the Pop Culture Hero Coalition, and
Thank you.
really want to dive into that. And I initially want to ask you, what was your impetus? What made you do this?
Thank you. Well, it's a hard story. I went through a period of extreme depression, really, really bad, in, the period after Deep Space Nine wrapped because I had a stalking incident, that was related to, something in Star Trek fandom, and I
This is
was
the match.
it was yeah, there was a Star Trek fan who decided he wasn't getting as much out of his fan club membership as he wanted. So he
Shouldn't laugh.
yeah, not funny, and he listed me on a huge international dating service without my knowledge or consent, as if he were listing himself. So he listed pictures of me and a list of my acting credits and disgusting lies, and, he listed my home address at the time. And, so immediately my son and I had to flee. And, it was a very, very it was a devastating situation, partly logistically and also partly just emotionally. It tore me apart in ways that how can the world be this way? How can people do this kind of thing to each other? I'm sorry, out of that I received, from one of the people on matchmaker.com who saw my profile, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. A threat from somebody threatening violence on my son and me, and that was what really put me over the edge, and I didn't handle it well. I drank, and I was deeply rageful and depressed for a long time, and, I managed to I'd stopped drinking for 6 months at this point, and a friend of mine said, if you wanna feel better, go help people who have it worse than you." Well, I knew a lot of people have it worse than me. I mean, you guys, we're like in the top luckiest people on the planet ever, right?
Right.
But I couldn't think of anybody who was as angry as I was, little me, as gang members. So a friend and I went downtown and we started to help these kids at Homeboy Industries. And it was a friend of mine who had a self-help book. And so we thought, let's see if this book works. Let's see if we can help people who really need help. I mean, I have this somewhat white collar problem. These kids grew up surrounded by violence. These kids live like half an hour from Hollywood in a whole nother world. And I started to really think about the inequity about this world. And I'd go to Star Trek conventions on the weekends or Comic Cons, and we'd celebrate these billion-dollar properties with fictional bullets flying. And then I'd go to Homeboy, and I'd work with these kids Monday through Friday, where they lived where real bullets are flying, and where, these kids were in danger every minute of their lives. And I thought, what can we do to bring these two worlds together, to use the power of pop culture and the power of Hollywood, really, to go in and reach people who carry so much more than I can imagine, who have only been born in the wrong zip code, you know? I mean, we won the birth lottery.
Right.
And
But yeah, we're also, Chase, you were also saving yourself in that too, weren't you?
yeah,
Because there's a certain, and I've spent some time with people who are in recovery, and there's a couple of things that occur. Either you become myopic and only think about yourself, your ego, or the way that you work through all of this is to be of service.
There's yeah.
and that is exactly it. When I got there, I said, they look at me like, what have you got? You're this little blonde girl from West LA. And I had to say, I don't know why the world works the way it does, why some people plan for college and other kids, literally, kids plan their funerals.
Mm.
I don't know why people were born in different places, some good and some not. But I know what it's like to be afraid to go home at night.
Right.
I know what it's like to take a substance and never want to wake up. I know what it's like to want to hurt myself and other people. And maybe if we work together, we can make life better. And so we did. And it was out of that experience, helping kids and them helping me. As you said, I was there to save my own butt. I was 6 months sober then. I'm 18 years sober next week.
Yeah. Did you work a program at the same time to some sort of 12-step or something like that?
I have, and
And
I have to say it is very helpful in ways that help all humans. Is the foundations of
kind of
program, yeah,
yeah.
resilience
Good.
and
And then the camaraderie, the community, it's essential really. To try and knuckle this on your own is, well, it's just bloody hell.
exactly. Exactly. We come up upon these, as they say, 800-pound gorillas, and we isolate because, trauma makes us close in, and addiction makes us close in. And it really is in the connectivity of being involved with people who face similar challenges that we know that we can face our own challenges.
And then being of service to them as well. Exactly. So the chap from Homeboy, I think I heard him on the radio the other day. Did they just celebrate an anniversary, I think, of the whole thing? They did, didn't they? I forget his name. Do you remember? Do you know
Father Greg Boyle?
Father Greg Boyle? Well done.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a mensch, isn't he?
he's amazing. He was my mentor basically in this. And it was just amazing to see how, these kids from hugely disparate backgrounds in terms of like rival gangs, like in their previous lives, these kids would have shot each other for fun.
Yeah.
And now at Homeboy, they were working together like brothers, really leaving all the hate and conflict behind and knowing that love is the only power and that making their lives better was possible. And I thought, why can't we all do that?
What do you, in your experience, what's the click that happens in people when that occurs, where they're able to think outside of their own experience and existence into, work with and for others?
I think part of it, that was such a great question, Connor. Thank you. And Dominic too. This is so great. I think it's partly a matter of hitting a rock bottom,
Yeah.
and realizing that all the things that we look to are so temporary, that they're fleeting, that the real stuff is our connection with each other and our ability to do good things for the world. And that's part of why the Star Trek community and what you guys are doing, bringing this community all together and celebrating these important stories, that's huge. And it's so powerful to see the way the Star Trek community supports each other, how fans can really form life-saving networks for each other.
Absolutely. It's become more apparent to us all as the decades have gone by and we've stayed around it, that we see this magic happening, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
I mean,
Really
think
is.
about it. If you think about it, you go to a Star Trek convention. I realized this pretty early on is that, we are the entertainment to an extent for other people to get together who are like-minded and who may not feel in the mainstream. It's
With the light that the moths want to gather to, but then
Yeah.
do their own thing.
Yeah, we're like the bait.
Fate.
it's it's a safe place to express yourself freely and fully.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And what a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm sure you guys agree. We could have been on any show, I mean, or none. And
Yeah.
to be on a show that has all of this community and great messages built in is such an honor. So why not use that in the various
Yeah.
ways that we all are? And so one of the ways that I decided to use that was to form a nonprofit to do the same types of things that we did at Homeboy, but to directly use these stories. So Star Trek.
Who did you go to? I mean, where, the idea is formulated. I mean, then who do you pick up the phone to and go, right, I need funding. How does that,
It's great. This is a great story.
us?
So I heard about this little girl named Katie who was bullied for carrying her Star Wars lunchbox to school, and all the boys would follow her around saying, "You can't like Star Wars, you're a girl." Right, ladies? Sorry. So she went home and she cried to her mom, "Mom, I'm not going to like Star Wars anymore. I'm just going to carry my pink lunchbox." And her mom said, "Katie, you get to be who you are. You get to love whatever you love. You get to love who you love. Be you." And yet Katie was really upset. She said, "Nope." And she went to bed and she was crying. And her mom got online and she wrote, "If anybody out there is a woman who likes science fiction, Star Wars, Star Trek, science, anything non gender conforming, would you please say a few words of encouragement to my daughter?" Well, Huffington Post picked up Carrie's blog and it went viral. And thousands of people read it and circulated it. So there was this hashtag May the Force be with Katie, or Katie the Star Wars girl. Some of you remember. And then I was one of the people that chimed in on the chat. "Katie, I'm an actress from Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars and science. You can be you." Well, Katie kept her Star Wars lunchbox because of all of this encouragement. And she has encouraged other little girls to keep their Star Wars lunchbox and fandom. And then her mom, Carrie, asked me if I would, she decided to write a book. And she's a wonderful author. And HarperCollins picked up this book and she interviewed me. And it was called Bullied: What Every Parent, Teacher, and Kid Needs to Know About Ending the Cycle of Fear. And isn't that right along the Roddenberry lines of IDIC? We all get be who we are. And so Carrie asked me if I had any friends that I could refer to her. So I referred her to my friend Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca. Rest in peace, Peter. And so now Peter, who played Chewbacca, was friends with Katie, who was bullied for loving Star Wars. Don't with us.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah. Please.
that shut the bullies up, and suddenly she's a star. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. I
Well,
mean, I love it. What sort of era? What time? What date line was this?
so this was 2013. And then Carrie, just a little part of the story more, Carrie asked me if I would help her get her book into Comic-Con. And I said, yes. And that's when it all came together, all the stuff from Homeboy and everything. And I said, but let's form a nonprofit. Let's form a coalition to end bullying. And so I got off the phone and I freaked out. I said, what did I just do? Form a coalition? What even is that? I looked it up. I got the right word. Okay. Now we need to form a coalition. Who do I call? The United Nations. They form coalitions. So
Did you
I
really?
looked up I looked up the number online and I called the San Diego office of the United Nations Association and I said, "Hi, this is Chase Masterson from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and I'm doing a coalition to end bullying, and you guys do that with countries, right? And so we're gonna go to Comic-Con to end bullying, and would you like to join us?" And he said, the president of the UN San Diego said, "Oh my God, we've always wanted to go to Comic-Con." And so they
Say
did,
that.
just like that. And so we've brought the UN Association, the UN proper in New York.
Bringing everyone back from Tibet, and we're going to
We brought Amnesty International and the ACLU and the Trevor Project and the No Hate Campaign and all of these organizations to their very first Comic-Con, creating an intersection between justice on screen and justice in real life. And then after that, we formed a curriculum with clinical psychologists creating work for kids in schools. And
Chase, sorry to interrupt. What was the impact at that Comic-Con? What did that give you, a sort of, direction and focus? Is like, "Yeah, we're onto something here."
they did. We were the first really official bullying prevention, ending bullying panel at Comic-Con. Of course, there's always been panels on inclusion, et cetera. But when you bring in like these organizations and psychologists that really talk about how to make it happen in the real world and how empathy can be taught and how all of these concepts can be, you know, hurt people and people heal people. So one of the important things about ending bullying is that you need to help people be comfortable with who they are first, right? And so in really understanding that at Comic-Con, we're here to celebrate who we are. Who we are is important and beautiful, and everyone has that right. Then we can talk about if we get to be who we are, doesn't everybody else? And so I don't know if this answered your question or if I'm on a tangent, but
Yeah.
it really all fits together with the messages of pop culture, and they knew it was a good fit. So
how did you go about sort of, developing the first, I don't know, talks at that panel? Did you, I mean, and the psychologists, where did you find these people? And, this takes some planning and piecing together, doesn't it?
it really did. I mean, I've worked 12 and 16-hour days very often in the last 12 years. Um,
Yeah.
Part of it is that there's so much built in. There are psychologists who do the psychology of Star Trek, the psychology of Star Wars, of Batman, of Wonder Woman. Dr. Janina Scarlett, Dr. Andrea Letamendi, Dr. Ali Matu, all of these people are in this kind of a network that create this work anyway. So what we did is we brought in educators, and I work side by side every day with my one right-hand person who got her master's and her doctorate at Harvard, and she also consults for the UN. And we put together this curriculum, which is evidence-based and, tested in the last couple of years. And it's the perfect balance between bringing pop culture fun and the psychology,
Mm.
the social emotional learning skills, really, those strategies together.
How does it affect, say, the bully?
We have this concept that bullies are just kids who need help.
Yeah.
As we said, hurt people hurt people. And so when a kid is a bully, chances are very good that he or she or they have been through something that has hurt them and that they have pain inside that they're trying to let out. And so we really work quite a lot. Our team works a lot with the bullies to find out what's happening. What is this thing where you feel like you need to have power over another kid? Why do you need to hurt somebody in order to feel good? And so we really take things apart and talk on a very deep foundational level. And we
And what venues are you going to? Are you getting into schools now, I take it? And people are coming forth and identifying themselves. I mean, do people self-identify as, yeah, I'm a bully?
sometimes, but often it's just really the educator or the instructor coming in and seeing the dynamics and saying, this kid needs some extra help, not because he's bullied, but because he's bullying. And this kid also needs help because they're being bullied. So, what are the dynamics and how can we deal with what's happened, including what's happened previously and maybe at home, and really help so that this kid doesn't continue being a bully through school and in a relationship and in the workplace, or this kid doesn't, commit violence on a level that a lot of people who have been bullied do.
Have you managed to get the parents involved? And yeah, that's the tough one because obviously, no parent wants to go, yeah, I slept my kid about. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that is true. I have one really, really great story. So, we're working with a Y in Louisville and a YMCA. And
well, you're in the Y, aren't you? You work with Y, yeah, yeah.
well, so I'll tell you just briefly, and this is a story of resilience. We had a launch date of March 15th, 2020 for our curriculum. So we started this work in 2013. It took us 7 years to put this together. And in writing, we had this launch date of March 15th, 2020, the exact date that the world shut down. Yeah. And I sat there in my little chair in my little apartment saying, oh no, we have nothing. And then I thought right away, listen to the work that we're doing. We don't have nothing like that kid in the corner of the internet who just wants a real friend and now can't make one. Or that kid in a pressure cooker of a household who just wants to get out and go to school and now can't. And now there's going to be all of this extra pain and, grief and job loss and family fighting and bullying and stress and all that kid is going to have to deal with. Or the kid who wants to come out at the dinner table but can't because they're afraid of being thrown out.
Mm,
And now there's nowhere to go.
yeah.
And so I thought, right now, we need to pivot our program to an at-home version. And it was against every logical thought because we'd put so much money into this and our own money. And we were a nonprofit by then, but still it was expensive. And we did it. We pivoted the program to an at-home version. We got it translated to Spanish, German, and Italian because of the nature of the global pandemic. We put hotlines for each place that people could be in. Like if you're in Northern Italy and you're having major mental health issues because of this, here's your hotline. If you're in Southern Italy, here's your hotline. And we had this really hugely built out, like 16 or 17-hour day work days. And we gave it away. And the YMCA heard about this, and we got a call from YUSA, the national office. They're the largest youth development program in the world. They called us and they said, we heard about the work you're doing and that it's really fun and relatable and that you use stories kids love and evidence-based psychology. And can we take a look at this? And they did. And they adopted us as their national program.
Brilliant.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, really.
Thanks.
I've been a Y member for 30 years here, Hollywood Y in Los Angeles here.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not in every Y.
Uh,
We're not in every Y, but they put our program together, paid for an adaptation for it to be in the Y. And the work has been provided free of charge to over 1,800 locations, over 500,000 people.
Our wonderful executive producer, Mr. Dave Tabb, is in the house today. God bless him. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank
you very much.
Thanks, pal.
It's good to be here.
Hey everyone, Connor here. We just want to take a moment to thank you so very much for tuning in and being a part of the Decon Chamber family. Your support keeps us going, and we couldn't do this without you.
And if you love what we do and want to help us even more, please consider joining us on Patreon. You'll get exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and even opportunities to chat with us directly.
And don't forget to check out our awesome merch. Because who doesn't want to rep their favorite podcast in style, baby?
Every little bit helps, I promise you. And we're really very, very grateful for all of you who make this show possible. So thanks for being there. And please enjoy this episode of the Decon Chamber. No. Do you do a lot of travel then? Are you bopping around the country, hosting events and yeah?
I am. Next week we're in Palm Springs one day and the next day in Florida, so I'm taking a red eye. It's that kind of work, but we've been given a large grant by the Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation in Florida to do a Spanish translation. And so it's really exciting that we get to help kids that are in need in a lot of different demographics. And now, if it's okay to mention, I'll tell you, we started a Patreon so that we can really give these skills to kids and parents and adults, just adults without children too, at home, because everybody needs mental health support. And so we have levels that are like $5, $10, $20, and that's we put it.
Yeah, we'll put this out there on the episode. But will you tell us what the information is that you can go to, the destination for being able to be a part of this?
Thank you. Yes, our Patreon is the heroic journey. And it's because this program teaches us to be heroes for ourselves and for each other. We all need to be heroes over our own depression, anxiety, loneliness, fear, shame, self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. Everybody experiences it. And the good news is there are tools that we can use to really stop our minds from those harmful cycles and those, self-critical cycles, and to really grab on to the truth, which is that we can be resilient.
Yeah. And how did you come to the curriculum?
So the psychologists and Carrie put this together with a couple of other educators, people who are amazing, like teacher of the year in school districts and things like that. And we just got an amazing team of both educators and psychologists. And they put together this curriculum in the shape of the hero's journey. So you guys as actors know, we have the home setting and then the call, like, come into this adventure, and then the hero usually says the refusal of the call, no, I can't, it's too much for me. Then somehow they get drawn into their adventure. That's the adventure of all of us healing. And we have
Novels.
exactly, Dom. Yeah. And we have
See, where are you?
right. Right. We have, then we
is.
we enlist our mentors, our allies, our tools. We have, they have tools of their lightsabers. We have tools of self-compassion and mindfulness and, healthy identity, knowing who we are is so much of the battle, and resilience, and then conflict resolution, and an understanding of how celebrities are not necessarily heroes. And what does it take? What does it take to be a hero?
Yeah,
Well,
careful to meet them.
never meet your heroes, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, met a couple.
Yeah. Well, we want to be the ones that you can meet and can feel safe with. And so,
This is so great. It's my hats off to you, love. I mean, and do you? I mean,
thank you.
do you sort of enact well-known hero scenes that illuminate what you're trying to put across to the kids? I mean, that must be so. There's a bit of dress up and cosplay going on, and
Not us. Sometimes there are other people that, come in and do that, and the teachers have the freedom to do that. We do show scenes and talk directly about, a, a, kids may have trouble talking about what they're going through, but they can talk about Wonder Woman, So we show them a scene and talk about what did she go through here? What are you going through? How are the two things similar? And that's why these stories are so powerful, right?
Yeah. How far in your journey in this, how soon in your journey did you realize that you were really onto something that was effective?
Well, we realize it every time we hear a great story. And we started hearing great stories early on, and we continue to hear them. One of my favorites is a kid in Louisville who came in 7 years old, consistently making violent threats at the YMCA. And he is consistently saying what he's going to do to people, to the place, etc. And so the instructor said, let's find out what's going on at home. Why is this kid doing this? And they found out that there was a lot of trauma and this child was hurting. And they started working with him with the heroic journey, talking about the Hulk and how the Hulk, there's two people inside of him, the one that's like ragingly angry and the one who doesn't want to be and who can manage his emotions. And within 2 months, this kid was making videos for us saying, I love the heroic journey because it teaches me I don't have to be angry inside. And so, who knows what we headed off? In 5 years or 10 years, that kid could have destroyed countless lives. So every time we hear a story like that, and there are a lot of good ones, we know that, we're doing the work that is possible with these stories. We're doing the work that's right in front of us, right? And I think that's a great lesson for all of us is just to do the next right thing.
Yeah. Well, pay it forward, isn't it? It's paying your. Hmm.
How healing has it been for you, my dear? I mean, yeah, you're winning me over. I got to tell you.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you. Well, I've had my challenges. I've had a lot of challenges myself. And I think that's how life works. We get hurt and it just, it makes life messy, and it's hard to show up for people when we're hurting. And I'm finding that my abilities to show up for people and for myself are much greater because I literally think lesson 3, what would Elsa do? Elsa would know how to manage her thoughts and feelings and behaviors so she doesn't turn her sister into ice and snow.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Elsa, or what would any of these characters do? We go to a place where we know what we want in the long run, not make an impulsive decision for what we want in the short run. And so I'm grateful that I've learned a lot and I'm grateful to help other people learn too.
Gotta be very, very difficult for a kid, to think that. I don't think that children have this sense of the outside world for quite some time, until, well, maybe they're 45 years old. I don't know. But, uh, it's, you gotta be a difficult challenge to, and I really, am keyed into your idea about giving that sense of the superhero or the story, how that, manifests itself in an ability to give a kid a way to aspire to something that they couldn't otherwise do in their own life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Teaching kids that we can be heroes like our greatest heroes, but we don't have to save the world from Ultron.
Right.
We can do small things like the dishes when your parents are tired. Or we can do small things like go over to somebody who's looking lonely and say, "Hey, you want to talk?" Or do a small thing for a local nonprofit outreach. Whatever, there's so many things to do in the world. We don't all have to do enormous things. There's a butterfly effect that helps healing spread like wildfire. And so if you just do the next right thing that you can find, something small in your community, and if you can't, donate the price of a coffee to somebody who's doing that work, um, wonderful things can happen because it just takes a little from everybody.
I know. And you, I remember some of the conventions, your Be Kind T-shirts started showing up, and that was one where you started funding this whole thing, wasn't?
Yes. Yep.
No, lovely, great design, and
Thank you.
I have several.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, our designer, Alan Chan, is amazing. He does the Be Kind shirts as well as our website and our videos, and he's incredible. We have a great team. And then Punk Army does our manufacturing and some of our design as well. And yeah, Be Kind is it's a great campaign as these t-shirts because it's a great message to wear on your body. And it's also helping our work immensely because $25 at a time, it adds up. And we've been able to do a lot of work with the support of the fans through the Be Kind campaign, I'll let you know that I'm a volunteer CEO. We've always put all of our money directly into the programming. There's a lot, you can do the research. There's a lot of nonprofits that pay their CEOs huge amounts of money, and it's important to have a team that can go on and do the work, and there's nothing wrong with getting paid. I'm just letting you guys know that at this level where we are right now, your support really counts and makes kids' lives better directly.
Full marks for not taking, a CEO wage at this stage in the game. I really would truly commend that, and I've had a lot of experience of people just taking, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, and it's all under the guise of nonprofit, which is it's pretty and so that's enabled us to create more work. It's with that work, with what would be a salary, we've created a lot of our LGBTQIA plus support tools for kids who,
Yeah, I know. So the program really broadened, didn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's a huge spectrum now, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, we've got
misogyny and LGBTQ rights and plus, I should say. Yeah,
absolutely, and we have children, parents, and high school kids. So we've created that whole high school program. Um, we've been able to do a lot by using our money wisely.
And you have some new we spoke earlier, you have some new things that you wanted to share, about what was going on with the Pop Culture Hero Coalition.
Thank you. Well, one of them is our Patreon, which is really exciting. And another thing is that we have been able to create, like I said, these high school tools are really immensely helpful. We're in a period of time where high school kids are in dire need of mental health tools. And, that's the pressures of social media, the, the really a lot of pain in society right now. The backlash against inclusion has been really difficult for kids, and they feel like they're lost. Social media, particularly back to that, it makes people, all of us, feel like we're comparing ourselves to everybody else all the time. And when will I be enough? When will I have enough followers or likes? Or when will I be seen as important, especially in this sea of other people who are getting more attention?
Did you happen to see the show Adolescence just now on Netflix?
I've heard about it. I have not seen it yet.
That's a must watch for you. Yeah, it's affecting, and it's exactly about all this. I mean, it really is.
It is, yeah. In fact, that was the impetus for the show. But, yeah, it is, yeah, absolutely, when did you discover, the, power and punishment of social media and have put that into a curriculum or into your program?
Well, early on, really. I mean, in 2015, when we started putting this together, we could see how, social media is obviously a tool where people are anonymous, so people feel the freedom to be mean. And one of our lessons is called Social Media Funny versus Mean. And we talk about the timeline of mean, how a person can make a quick joke and think it's going to be gone in a second. But the person who's the brunt of that joke, even on social media, the pain can last a very long time. So we always go back to our first lesson, which is identity. And who are we? Who do we really want to be in the world? What are our core values? Do we really want to be the person who makes jokes at everyone else's expense and gets the laugh? Or do we want to?
They said, be the change you want to see, and as yeah, as
Yeah, that's a great remembrance. Yes,
yeah.
exactly that, Dom. And so we talk about, like, what is it that we go back to all the time? The first lesson is identity, is really having a set of core values that we stick with in our actions. And then the second lesson that we have is mindfulness, how to, again, stop doing what we just want to do and type, or this will be fun, but to think about what we just talked about, which was our core values, and then an understanding of how our thoughts lead to our feelings and our feelings lead to our behaviors. So our thoughts could be, I'm going to say this thing because I'm mad at that person online. And that can, or because they bullied me, and that can lead to a feeling of backlash. But if we have a thought of that person was mean to me, I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to lash back. I'm going to go back to my core values, which are kindness. And I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to leave it alone, or I'm going to say something to, to de-escalate, and that can lead to a feeling of I did the right thing. I'm empowered rather than I'm going to be mean and I go isolate or use a substance or,
Yeah.
do something.
I was talking about this morning on a phone call. I mean, it's about not having an opinion about everything. You know,
Ex-
maybe I can not have an opinion about that,
Exactly. Exactly.
and then the world would be a lot easier for you, and people might like you more.
And for everybody,
And
and so really keeping our values in mind and using our mindfulness to stop us when we want to do something that's out of line with those values. Look, we all make mistakes. I've made plenty. And we we have to give ourselves a break when we make mistakes, I mean, everyone does.
well,
And
this is it. Part of mindfulness is you get to start over immediately. You can just stop that train of thought and
yeah,
just go, "Oh my word, there's me thinking that nonsense again," and start over fresh.
that's such I mean, that's literally exactly the first part of our program.
Yeah.
We
And
we
don't beat
haven't
yourself up for starting over
right,
again and again,
right.
again.
Right, and that's self-compassion, is saying, "Look, I made a mistake, everybody does, it's not great, but it's human,
But
and I
I'm
can
now aware of the train of thought and I'm catching myself.
and I cannot do that again." If,
Right?
yeah,
And the more times you catch yourself and be mindful of it, the stronger that muscle of mindfulness gets. Yeah.
that is exactly it. Yeah, and then
It-
all those
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just wanna say, so those are our first 4 lessons, literally, like identity, mindfulness, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, self-compassion, how to be as kind to ourselves as we are to other people, and all that brings us to a point of resilience. Right? So many programs start with resilience, like, "You can be resilient, you can do it, buck it up." But on the toughest days, we need more support. And so if you're 8 years old, what a wonderful way to grow up, right? Learning these tools rather than
Yeah.
buck it up.
God knows.
What do you do though, Chase, when you're in a situation as a young person and say a comment's been made on social media, and then that comment gets 20 responses that are the same kids who don't even think they're necessarily bullying, but like, yeah, so and so is a yada, 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 or this and that and the other thing. There's that group of the people who are imposing this monster of energy onto a kid who is struggling and being picked on and bullied. Where, where's the how do you get to a point where you disperse that big ball of negative energy in a group?
It's I I well, first of all, we know as actors, don't read the comments, right?
But that's so very difficult for a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, I know. And some oftentimes, and this is an analogy I use with kids, like, okay, so you're a kid, right? And so I just come up to you out of the blue and I go, "Here's a piece of" Do you have to take it? You don't have to take it. It's not yours. It has nothing to do with you. It was never yours. These mean comments are not yours. They're somebody else's aggression wanting to hurt you so that they can temporarily feel good about themselves. I don't care if you weigh 800 pounds. If somebody is mean about that, it's not because you weigh 800 pounds. It's because they're
Under what you're doing, Chase, is that there's a resource for kids to deal with this.
right, to deal with it, to say, to put it aside and go, this is not mine. To have our thoughts, really, to have our thoughts say to ourselves, wait a second, mindfully, I'm going to cut in and say, I'm not going to absorb that hurt because it has nothing to do with me. Meanness, oppression, bullying, racism, misogyny, LGBTQI plus bullying, cyberbullying, all of that is because of the aggression inside the bully. It has nothing to do with us. If you were bullied, it was never about you.
Mm.
Right.
And yeah, and a lot of it starts at home. I mean,
Yeah.
those attitudes and um, the inability to accept different.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
starts at home.
It
Mm,
does. And if kids hear their parents or people on the news saying,
Yeah,
I'm just going to say it, if people, in authority in this country are saying things that are derogatory about groups of people, that infects society. That has everyone on this wavelength of creating a space where that seems to be okay. If our authority figures do it, other people do it, and
yeah, and the authority figures are using these touch button, hot topic buttons because they're easy to set fire to and get get the base
yes,
to riled up and on this side of the fence or that side of the fence, and
yes.
it's
So I'll just say,
obviously wrong.
it's extremely wrong. It's harmful. It's monstrous. And I'll just say my point of view is that what this administration has been doing in terms of negating whole groups of people is poison. And so we have to really stand up firm and use extra doses of inclusion and kindness and an understanding that everyone has the right to be who they are. And to shut down people, to marginalize people because of who they are is monstrous.
Yeah.
And the notion that, look, I think in any environment, in any experience, there is a bar that can be set. And you have your own responsibility for where that bar lives for you. You can set that bar high, or you can sit down and let that bar be subterranean, and it goes to a place of negativity and pain and bad news. But, I think part of what you are doing with your program is saying to people, listen, you can set a bar for yourself that is for excellence, and that is excellence in any number of ways, but excellence nonetheless. And if someone doesn't reach that, they're not part of your deal. They're not part of your life.
Right.
And
Right.
then if that person recognizes who was not part of that, that that for like say the bully coming out of an experience and realizing that the reason they bully is for a variety of reasons, and then that there's always a click that happens with people in terms of doing good or bad things. And
Yeah.
Intrinsically, in our hearts, we know. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think this is taught. I think there is some sort of sense inside of us.
I
What's right?
agree,
What's
Dom.
right? Yeah,
I
I don't think
agree.
it's taught. I think some attitudes are taught, but you do know. You know when you're not being right inside. Yeah.
We do. We do. And so isn't it if something is going to spread like wildfire, why not let it be our healing and our kindness? Because, when somebody kicks you, then you are more likely to kick somebody else and that whole butterfly effect can be very negative, but we have the opportunity to get healthy and resilient and make the butterfly effect a really good healing one.
Yeah, I'm as guilty as any. I mean, my knee jerk reaction is, gonna get you, mate, and then I have to come back from that.
Mine has
Very
been
good.
Mine has been too, and I'll also say that when we're feeling exhausted, it's harder to be resilient and it's harder to be kind, and I've done that myself, and
Turning the other cheek is not easy. It's
right. Yeah. Or just, having the ability to have just a as you said, you don't have to comment on everything. Sometimes it's better to just be quiet because
I've been watching a lot of it on the socials lately with the Musk stuff and the Church of Tesla, and friends of mine, they're all bought those cars and invested in him and made a lot of money, and I mean, they're in some sort of war on Facebook at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just read some of the comments, go, oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah, and turn it off.
I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sure that we're meant to be altruistic good people. I think that is a thing that we have to decide about ourselves.
Right.
so very easy to go the other direction.
Yeah.
It takes work to
It
be
does.
a positive, kind person,
It
and
does.
it does. It takes actual work, and
Because stress comes in and we feel like,
You owe, and you owe the lash, the lash out,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we don't
When someone
really
picks
want to.
you up on the freeway, you the instinct is to get sideways with them and give them a good look. I mean, what is that about?
We've all done it. Yeah.
Just
And so how lovely to know that there are actual tools that we can use to not do that, to catch ourselves and to go, wait a second, I can have conflict resolution. I don't have to go up and go, you did this. I can say, hey, could we talk about this? Because my feelings were, I didn't feel great about that. And can we
you
talk?
can also spend 24 hours in a day not doing well. But the grand notion of the next day is there, it's open and free. You
Yeah.
can be a better person. You can choose to see a different way. And you know, right? Yesterday was yesterday. Well, tomorrow's a new day, and you have an opportunity.
Right.
And bear in mind that tomorrow's not guaranteed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, better be that way than t'other.
That
Waste
is
the
a
day.
very
Better waste the day with, nothing but hate in your heart. That's a wasted day, man.
That's a good point. And for kids, and bringing this back to this work that we're doing, is that kids who are raised in toxic households, and there are many, where the parents are fighting or whatever it is that's going on, or maybe it's just the parents are exhausted and there's a lack of social, emotional, mental health skills.
Yeah.
These kids may never learn that. And then they grow up to be toxic all their lives, and or maybe learn at a later age
The
after there's
dysfunction is just passed on. It is.
right, right.
It's
And so
learned and passed on. Yeah.
right. So we're stopping that cycle. And it's wonderful that we
Yeah.
have fan support in stopping that cycle, because frankly, kids are going to rule our world. In 20 years, in 20 years, these 6-year-olds are going to be voting on whether or not we get Social Security. In 12 years, they're going to be
Yeah.
in charge. And so why not teach the world to be kinder for all of our sake?
Because
And
they're going to be old, and I'm going to need that.
yeah, I mean, I think that the effort to make that possible is such a noble sounds silly, but it's such an important thing that with the work that you're doing, I'm just so impressed with what you do, Chase. It really is. It's a magnificent thing that you're almost taking something that it's like an asteroid flying through space in a crazy way that is literally meant to do damage, and then trying to find a way to give it some sense of control that it's not going to do damage.
Mm. You're sending Bruce Willis up with the team.
Well, Ben Affleck's directing.
Was it Ben?
Thank you. Either one is good. We love the celebrity support of anybody, everybody. But thank you. And I will say this fandom has taught me so much. Star Trek fans have really created this excitement in me, because years ago, I'll just tell you real fast, back in those pre-Star Trek days, I was working on a charity for kids with AIDS. And I had to leave the charity because I couldn't even take care of myself. So when I got Star Trek, I was told that we all would have this fan support for the causes that we care about. And back in those days, we had these fan clubs. And so I was able to go back to that charity and say, I'm back. And look who I brought with me,
Right.
the fans. And so when I did these conventions in the 90s, and this was so foundational for me, you guys, I can't even begin to tell you. I would go to like some little town in wherever, and they'd greet me at the airport with a check for this AIDS charity. And they'd say, we had a Klingon bake sale, or we had a Bolian car wash, or, whatever. And they would think of it on their own and do the work and support. And I thought, how beautiful this fandom, this community is. And so it really is based in that, knowing that we all three of us, you guys, come out of this incredible legacy of Roddenberry and his inclusion and kindness. And it really is continuing. We're living Star Trek. And so this is my personal way, and I'm grateful for the opportunity because of who the fans are, is what helped us create the work we're doing.
Yeah, and they are mightily involved, aren't they?
Yes, mightily, mightily, and it's everything, nothing is too small. I mean, buying a Be Kind T-shirt helps. Coming on a $5 level of our Patreon or whatever fans can do, it helps because there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I don't have one. I should get one in Vegas when I see you.
I will give you one of your choice.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
Well, you're getting the money.
No, 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 no.
No, no, honestly, I mean, come on. I mean, that's silly. I know. I want to contribute.
Thank you.
It's
Well, you are.
lovely having this chat, my dear, and
Thank you.
really,
Thank you.
very
Thank you.
humbling
Thank you so
to listen to you and the incredible stuff you're doing. Because I can be a bit lazy, and so
We all can. Hollywood, life is overwhelming. And so, if we all do a little, then it helps a lot. I'll just tell you quick, our website is uh popculturehero.org. We have a really great rating on all the charity rating websites, so you never have to be worried about what happens to your donations. So popculturehero.org, or on social media, we're at superhero IRL, or on Patreon, The Heroic Journey.
Yeah, we will post all of this, and it's just a thrill to hear you talk about this stuff. I'm so impressed by the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Connor and Dominic. This whole talk means so much. It's really good to hang out with you guys, and
likewise.
thank you for all of this so much. Thank you.
We'll see you in the summer.
I can't wait.
Yeah, at the beach. We know it.
Yeah,
A married man when I see you next.
I know. Congratulations to you and Sarah. How
Thank you, darling.
exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Yay. Yay. Right. Yay.
Deep breaths. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well, it's been lovely, darling, and we'll speak soon. Okay.
thank you so much for having me on, Dominic and Connor. Thank you. Love you guys. And
Keep it on.
thank you so much. You too. And congrats on this show. It's so much fun and everybody loves it. And I'm grateful to have been a part.
Thank you very much, darling.
Blessing to have you on. Thank you.
Thanks, you too. Okay. Talk soon.
Ciao.
Bye.